Hello and welcome. I sit down and suddenly it's windy, such is nature. Hoping this is going to record okay. All right, so welcome to the live Zoom session. Hello. So we are week one. I have no idea how many days or weeks this is going to be going on till. But that is okay. We will continue doing the Wholeness virtual retreat for as long as needed during this time of self-isolation and kind of amidst this COVID thing. Hello, Diana. So, Diana, quick question if you could answer. Am I sideways or am I right face up and down? Sideways? Not sideways? I'm gonna unmute you real fast. Let me see. Participants, unmute.
You're
Hello.
better now.
Okay, I'm not sideways anymore?
No, you're pretty big now.
All right, I was hoping to.
You're not. There you go. You're getting stuck.
All
but
right.
it's nice to see your beautiful face.
Hello. So hopefully wind, internet, force fields all cooperate.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't want electricity to work.
No, so I'm like, man, is, internet is having a hard time. There's more people on it than ever before, so that's why. But there's that. So school kids, parents, every single person that is supposed to be working is on the internet right now.
Yep.
Just as we are.
I'm just trying to stay off the internet.
Yeah, today I did better.
Yeah, today my son told me that he was doing coke. And so now we got to deal with that tonight.
Well, you got to be grateful for his honesty.
Yep. I didn't know. I was like, I can't call the kettle black. Been there, done that.
Yeah, but that's definitely not something, that's an expensive habit. That's not something you want to continue going with.
Nope. And he wants help, and so that's why he said something.
Well, you got to be grateful for this talk about honesty, this honesty generation.
They don't like to be honest.
They what?
This generation does not like to be honest.
Well, they learned from really the best.
Generation in between. Because I'm pretty honest. Well, I didn't used to be, but I am now.
Yeah, it's taking time.
And you know what? I'm a burden.
You better be tapping on that.
I'm actually thinking about my friend Danielle. You know Danielle. Well,
yeah.
At the festival. She's going to do free Reiki sessions for 20 minutes on Zoom. And I'm like, I can do tapping on Zoom, and do some stuff like that.
Yeah. No, now's really the time. This is really what this whole retreat is really about. Is there's so many people that want to get themselves out there and often think, there's this perception that there's always it's never the right time, right? I mean, there's always this perception of, well, now that the economy is slowing down, now is obviously not the right time to get out there. But if you're getting out there in a time where people can see you, they're going to be able to see what you're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So that when they need that resource again, you are going to be top of mind. Yeah. So this is really the the biggest aspect of what the wealth in this wholeness virtual retreat is really about, is seeing that wealth is not something that is flippant. It doesn't come and go like a paycheck. Wealth is something that flows, but it's I I I want to be hesitant in saying that it's seasonal as well, because if you see, there's always wealth in nature. There's either, even when there's no leaves on the trees, there's usually a wealth of rain or snow falling from the sky. Like there's always an abundance of something going on in nature. And even in a drought, there's an abundance of dust. There's an abundance of dirt. There's an, so.
Being from California, I understand.
Yes. Yeah. So I really want to be mindful of that. And I think that's kind of what the honesty assessment, I know Missy was going to try to be on here, but she's got little babies running around right now. And I know there was a few other people who wanted to be on live. So I want to make sure to cover a few of their topics as well. So Diana, I appreciate you being live, as it's always easier to talk with somebody than talk at a video screen.
Well, it's nice seeing your face and being able to say hi, and you say hi back.
Yes, isn't that fun? So
Yeah.
I'm hoping as we continue this, more people will join in, and it'll be a whole little community gathering, so to say. So I know there was quite a few people who joined in to do so, but again, electricity, internet, all these kinds of things come into play. So I had a few people who commented. I know you commented yesterday on the Facebook Live. Missy commented yesterday on the Facebook Live.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple others who commented about the feelings that came up as I was saying those certain words. So I wanted to dive in a little bit, and Diana is going to be an awesome volunteer helper because she loves to do this kind of stuff with me. So for now, Diana and I will be going back and forth, and as others join in, I'll be able to pull in other people as they join in as well. So, Diana, your lungs, Diana's been having bronchitis aspects going on for quite a number of months now. She might not even realize. Have you been tested? They haven't tested you, right?
No, they tested me for the flu, and this is before all the COVID came out. Like, I know it's been here longer, but like since November.
Right.
But I've never had a fever. I haven't had the headaches, and I just have the cough and the sinuses.
Yeah. But yours has been going on since like January, right? Now? So, I mean, it's probable that it could be something in that way, but you haven't been tested, so they don't actually.
I've been to the doctor 3 times, and I'm on my 4th round of antibiotics.
Yeah, and I'm sending Diana a respiratory detox, which will hopefully clear all of this mess out of her lungs rather than
I hope so.
the antibiotics. But yeah, so I want to do something a little bit different than usual. I know there's quite a few new people, so I want to mix it up. Diana's been in quite a number of my programs and things like that, and done some things in the past. So for those that are new, I want to start off with something really simple. So I want to put our hands on our chest. So in this area, because even if your lungs or anything like that have not been causing, the fact that COVID affects the lung issue is a global aspect right now. So on a global scale, the Earth's lungs are being cleaned out with the pollution, with the lack of CO2s in the air. So of course our lungs are being affected. It could be very much this aspect of us actually feeling the issues that.
See, that's what I've been wondering.
Yeah, right. So it could be this aspect of you know, us literally taking on and feeling on a global Mother Earth scale, this issues of like our own lungs filling up, you know, with this mucus, with this cough, and shifting into more of an awakening on a global scale of this connection with the earth, with the sun. The sun is going to be going actually more dormant over the next few years rather than warming. So there's a lot of stuff going on in these cycles of the earth cycles, the moon cycles, the planetary cycles, and the sun that we, you know, march around and demand ourselves to be the number one person, you know, and take it as this aspect of we, you know, we demand to be front and center. So I really want to focus on our lungs, our heart, our chest. So this would be the heart chakra. So I want to take our hand and just place it on in the center. If you have more ribs or lung aspects, you can actually wrap your hands around your lungs, wherever is most comfortable, but I want it to be above this bottom rib and below the collarbone. Okay. And just take a moment to just really breathe into this space. And now when I say this aspect of fear, oftentimes we fear and we feel fear in our heart. It can be maybe a constricting or a tightening. And I really want to take any of these little stray pieces of fear going on and gather them up and give a little tug. So I'm feeling, I don't know if Diana, if you were able to feel that, it almost felt like the lungs actually had some of these wires or like spider webs.
I just got everything put back to place.
Okay. Yeah.
My holistic doctor just put all my ribs back in place and everything. So yeah, I'm like, where do I go? Because it all hurts.
Yeah. So I almost felt like there was these, so in this space, I really feel like the heart is at the center of it, the heart of it. The heart is at, you know, really the core point of what is going on right now. And spiraling out from that heart are there these the spider web, but they're more than that. They're almost a metallic aspect going into the lungs, making it difficult to breathe. And so I really want to focus on deep breathing right now. So I want to take a deep breath all the way down into our diaphragm and push it out. Breathe it in, breathe it in, breathe it in, and push it out. One more deep belly breath, all the way, all the way, all the way. So there's this big connection with our hearts being unable to really feel intuitively on a heart-love basis what is going on, and it affecting our lungs in that connection. So
could that be me not being able to touch palm?
Yes.
Okay, then that makes sense.
This aspect of I know a lot of people, including myself, are feeling very disconnected right now and disassociated right now. And literally that's coming out on a global scale of being isolated. And yet, even if we're with anybody else in our family, there's almost this like our auras are so big right now. They're actually pushing, we have like huge bubbles right now around us. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Because I didn't want to get him sick, so I haven't been kissing on him or loving on him or
right,
like I
right.
normally do.
And especially more so probably in the past week, there's probably been even more of this distance happening.
I told him last night I was really lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things where there's a dissociation happening on a global scale right now. And yet I'm even finding it difficult to go within.
Wow.
And to really, there's very much this wall there. So I guess that leads us to possibly doing some auric work. So for those who are going to be watching the replay that are not very familiar, we all have an energy body, a physical body. So our aura or our etheric body is our energy around us. And when it's really large, this is actually really usually really healthy, having a really large expansive aura, especially if our aura is filled with love and peace. But I feel like all of our auras have extended, and they're filled almost with this isolation, loneliness, uh, dissociation, distraction energy, where we're like, we can't even bump up against each other right now, as much as we usually do. So people who are really empathic are not feeling so drained because they're not bumping up and absorbing everybody else's energy as they do on a regular basis. Which in an odd way, as an empath and a healer, when you're constantly giving and healing in that space because you're empathically receiving other people's energy, it fills you up in a different way. It makes it so that you're not so lonely. But when you're unable to give and connect like we do so regularly and effortlessly as empaths and overgivers, and people pleasers, this is not a bad thing. This is actually how we recharge in a weird way. We just haven't learned how to do it without overgiving and people pleasing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So even just going into, the grocery store, as you're walking around as an empath, often you can feel everybody else's emotions as you're walking around. Or maybe you leave the grocery store like, whew, I don't know what that was all about. I'm exhausted, because you did all this work with everybody that you came into contact with as you were just walking around the grocery store. But people are not moving around that way, and we're not interacting with so many other individuals. And so we're feeling very cut off. And so when we're cut off, were you going to say something?
Is it stagnant? Like getting stagnant?
It's almost, I almost see it, a little stagnant, but I almost see it as like we're going into that phase. So from like a metal where it's liquid and really pliable and movable, and yet it sucks in everything. So like metal, it was like absorbing everything around it. Or even water, put anything in water and it's obviously going to be in the water. I almost feel like we're going into a solid phase, and we're not absorbing anything. We're becoming disconnected. And I don't know if, I think this is just a global thing that is happening because we're physically isolating, we're physically becoming disconnected. We're physically, going into more of this virtual world of Facebook, Netflix. We're literally stepping into the virtual reality. So I know Diana's been taking a lot of time to just be in nature. I'm taking time to be
Oh, that's
in
beautiful.
nature. So nature is going to be that connective point for us through this time. So, but I want to focus once again on the heart.
My heart just palpitated.
So, as we're focusing on the heart of the issue, I really want to get to the heart of the issue because I feel like right now, the heart of the issue is so personal for everybody. So Diana was just sharing that her son just revealed something pretty big. It's a pretty big aspect to have to deal with today, Diana, by the way. And you know, getting to the heart of the matter of, I think we've all been trying to do this so long on our own, and it's coming to a point that it's not working anymore. Diana's son came to her realizing, okay, I actually need my parents. I need my parents to help me because I can't do this on my own. I'm realizing how much community and being a part of community is vital to my health, being in connection and in community with others. I know there's a lot of people that, you know, are turning to virtual conversations. So Diana, if you would be willing, I'm wondering if do you have anything else that you feel like could be at the heart of the matter for you specifically?
Not being able to be essential, not being able to go and help my mom do the Reiki on her, you know, with her dementia, just having to stay home. My pool classes were, you know, canceled. It's like my life's just been ripped out from underneath me. And
Yeah.
it's the unknown and it's the fear.
Yeah. And so the heart of the matter is that lack of connection.
Yes. For me, yes.
In all aspects. Okay. And so this, I would love to go back. And so it's going to be individual for everybody, but I'd love to just take a moment and to go back into time, to go and go along your timeline, your specific timeline, and go back to a point where there was another lack of connection. Feeling isolated and alone. Do you have a moment in time, Diana?
Well, my ex-husband.
Yeah. I went to teenage years, and that would be similar for you too, right, Diana?
19.
Yeah. So, it's very interesting, and I'm hoping that we, as the other women that and men, anybody else who is watching this recording, as they watch this recording, if there's another time where you felt very isolated and alone and disconnected, I usually do a lot of inner child work, but this really stopped me at like the teenage angst years. And I'm wondering if this is kind of the teenage angst years in our human development before we actually go into more of an enlightened, aware adult, no longer blaming, that sort of thing. If we're actually on a global scale feeling a bit of this isolation, and it's going to remind us how much we need to be in community, because we've all been so separated and isolated through work and busyness and jobs and play dates and you know, these schedules that are so overfilled that we've been isolated, but we've been so busy in our distraction that we haven't noticed how isolated we are. And so now that we're still isolated and all the busyness is no longer there, this period of really getting to be able to reconnect with ourselves and each other. In order to connect with anybody, though, we have to reconnect with ourselves. So I want to take us and connect us with our higher self. So if you're willing to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine a beautiful nature setting around you. And in this nature setting, I want you to see your higher self, what I call our magical mother, my magical mother. I would like for you to see her walking towards you in this moment. And I'd like for her to just wrap her arms around you and hold you. What does she have to share with you?
With me?
Yeah, Diana, would you be willing to, did your higher self share anything with you?
She always does. She always does. And she doesn't actually have to speak. It's just like a known, you know. She just looks at me and I all of a sudden just calm, and she just wraps me with love and intensity of warmth, and just she's so beautiful and just always looks out for me. I've really noticed her a lot here lately in my life.
That is awesome. And I just wanted to say hello. I just saw. Hello, Missy. Would you like to share? Did your higher self come to you? Let me see if I can. Give me just a second. I'm on my cell phone, which is not the greatest, but hell, it's working. All right. Hello, Missy.
Hello. I feel lately I've been like, I know the last time that we did stuff like this, I wasn't able to see like my higher self or have any idea what that even would be. And so I'm just excited that I like have a picture of what that would be.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, and I also like you know, it's like not the stuff, I don't know. I'm so tired of everything always cycling back to my parents. I'm ready to just stop dealing with it, but it doesn't really work like that. But I've been struggling with like issues with my parents, like in my head, mostly. But yeah, I kind of got this message of like, I don't need them to witness my success because I get to be my own witness.
Wow. Yeah, when you stop seeking the approval of them, then you know, it's almost like the approval comes instantly because you're not seeking it anymore. You don't care if it's there.
For me, it's almost like realizing that I was wanting that.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Yeah.
Because I just have, you know, spent so long. I don't need them. And I really never actually was healing that part of myself that wanted that.
Yeah.
Because I was just too busy ignoring it. Because I knew I wasn't going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I know we've talked before about expectations. Missy's also been in one of my past programs of like almost releasing that expectations that the approval will ever be there. and knowing that you are the only person that can ever give that approval, and almost asking yourself, why haven't I even given myself that approval?
Yeah.
Why haven't I ever even seen myself as successful? How can I expect anybody else to see me in that manner?
Yeah.
When I've denied myself that aspect.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I'd love to hear if there is a number that correlates to that. Do you feel like there is an age that connects to that feeling?
At every age, back as young as I can remember.
Yeah. That's a foundational issue. That's a foundational. So approval seeking.
Yeah, that's just, I can feel that deeply back just to being tiny.
Yeah.
A tiny little person, just, looking up at my mom, like, there's no age where I haven't been wanting that. And
yeah. And so I want to go back. I want to go in, and I'm hoping this wind is not messing too much. Sorry, guys. I want to go into, so this is a higher self aspect. So I want to go in, you said you saw your higher self. So I want to take a moment and go into that higher self for just a moment. So let's close our eyes and go back into that nature setting. See your higher self there. What does she say to you in regards to your success? Do you have a feeling of maybe like love or acceptance coming from her?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all it is this aspect that sometimes we've been seeking approval, but what we've been needing is just unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And this aspect of the love coming from a place of wholeness rather than this place of needing anything from anybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally does.
Okay. Yeah. So that's going to be something that you're going to continue working on this week. Continue kind of pulling out these little pieces of getting really honest and getting really real with, all these aspects of definitely who in your life currently, I'm sure are you seeking this approval from? Are you, maybe having this like needing rather than fully self-acceptance and self-love, unconditionally loving and accepting yourself and allowing that to come in from the outside from within. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate that. All right. Let me, I'm going to mute you, Missy, and Karen. Can you hear me? I know, Diana's saying mine says it's going to take time. Yeah, which is such a tricky answer, right? Because when our higher self says it's going to take time, sometimes we want to like just slap our higher self and like, what? But I had this really interesting conversation with Travis this morning because we've been listening to the talk, the presidential talks every day in the Senate, and just really trying to be engaged in that, because I've never really been engaged in anything political before, but this feels different. And the president is getting really antsy. He's like, he really doesn't want to be quarantined anymore. He really doesn't want the economy to be stopping. And he's like, okay, can we be done already? And, all of his advisors are like, but Mr. President, you said 15 days. This 15 days is really important. And you said this already. And you could tell there's this wanting for it to be over already. And I think a lot of times this correlates directly to our own healing journey of like, we just want it to be over. Can we just get to that point where we love ourselves already? Can we just get to that point where we're done, we're fixed, we're whole? Can we just get to that point already? You know what I mean? And so, but I feel like there's, in this moment where there's literally time and an uncertain amount of time in front of us, to take this moment and this opportunity to realize that this is different. This is different on a global scale. Our higher selves are saying, hey, just give it a little bit more time, because literally the entire globe right now is sitting on the edge of its seat going, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it time? You know what I mean? And like, we're all kind of like in this anticipation of something really awful. And yet at the same time, it's also something that we're in anticipation for, that's going to grow us to a place that we've never been before, if we use this time wisely. And so I'm really encouraged by each and every one of you being here. And I saw that there was a lot of other participants here, and I think their internet, all of our internet's been screwy. So if your internet's been screwy, you're not the only one. Like it's as if they want us in isolation and we can't even do this too, which is interesting, right? To say the least. Interesting. So utilizing this time piece, because I was just having a conversation today of, I remember so clearly, like Missy, and I see when you have your baby in your arms, I remember so clearly that isolation that I felt in when I had a little baby, of being so completely alone, despite the fact that I had little babies around me, despite the fact that I was like so overwhelmed with like the needs that they had, and yet totally isolated in myself. So I know there's a few people who are dealing with the loss of babies, with miscarriages. There's a few people in the group that are dealing with losses of relationships, losses of parents, losses of family members right now. So this isolation is a lot deeper than just being alone or lonely. There's this aspect that it is now time that we desperately need to reconnect with ourselves and with others. And so coming together and being vulnerable is all a part of that, because whether I feel disconnected, suddenly when I'm having a real sharing conversation, it brings that connection just a little bit stronger, right? Do you feel that way too? Where when you're having this moment of shared connection, it creates just a little bit more. And so that is going to be the spark to help us stay connected throughout the rest of the day together. stay connected when we get off this call, to make sure to connect either through phone with family members, for us to use this time of vulnerability and healing and connection to actually create more connection, to create more honesty in our conversations, to create more vulnerability, to pick up the phone and call somebody who you know is probably really struggling, but is unable to start that conversation. So, Missy, let me see. My biggest struggle with all this isn't so much isolation as I fear threat to my family's safety. Yeah. And there's a lot of that too, right? We're unsure. There's military getting involved. There's national lockdowns involved. There is definitely this aspect, but I'm going to unmute you, Missy, because I think this is a really important topic. Hey, Amy, I'm glad to see that you are back on. I'm going to unmute Missy real fast, and then I will get to Amy. I know she's traveling today, so sometimes internet is wonky. So, Missy, would you like to share a little bit more about that?
Yes, I feel like partly my baby's waking up. I feel threatened by the people around me getting scared, and if things get worse than they are now, I'm feeling very much like state dependent. You know, we live in a suburban apartment. We don't have our own water. If they decide to shut off our water, then we don't have water. And I like all these things are going through my mind as like I feel like they're just taking away our rights and telling us where we can go and who we can be with and what we can have. And I see everybody around me getting worked into a frenzy, clearing off store shelves, and I don't have the resources currently to just keep my family safe and provide like our basic necessities around me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really struggling with.
And so where in your body is that fear stored? In your heart. And so I'm not sure if you heard, but so the heart of the matter is being able to provide and keep your family safe right now. So I would love for you, and let's actually just go through and reprogram that real fast, because this is a big aspect. I want to tap the top of your head if you can. I don't feel like I can provide for myself or my family.
I don't feel like I can provide for myself or my family.
I'm scared for our safety.
I'm scared for our safety.
I'm scared for my freedom.
I'm scared for my freedom.
And I'm just scared.
And I'm just scared.
Under the nose. This is a really scary time.
This is a really scary time.
Filled with uncertainty.
Filled with uncertainty.
And I'm just filled with fear.
I'm very filled with fear.
Under the arm. And I'm really tired of being scared.
I'm very tired of being scared.
On top of the head. Is it possible?
Is it possible?
To have a different thought about this?
To have a different thought about this?
Is it possible?
Is it possible?
For the fear to turn into something else?
For the fear to turn into something else?
Is it possible?
Is it possible?
For my body to stop having fear for just a moment?
For my body to stop having fear for just a moment?
Under the eye. What other emotion could I put into my body right now?
What other emotion could I put into my body right now?
Could I just feel neutral just for a moment?
Could I just feel neutral just for a moment?
Just neutral in knowing that I am safe in this moment.
Just neutral and knowing that I'm safe in this moment.
Neutral in the fact that I know that I have food for the day.
Neutral in the fact that I know I have food for today.
Neutral in the fact that I know I have a safe space to sleep tonight.
Neutral in the fact I know I have a safe place to sleep tonight.
And bring myself into just feeling totally neutral in the fact that I am here right now in this present moment.
And just bring myself into a space of being neutral here in this present moment.
I am present.
I am present.
I am safe.
I am safe.
And if I feel fear,
If I feel fear,
I will step into this space of neutral
I'll step into the space of neutral
so that I can think clearly
so that I can think clearly
and come up with a game plan if needed.
come up with a game plan if needed.
Okay, take a breath. Does that feel any different?
Yeah.
Okay. So this could be a tapping that you might need to do regularly. Because being in a space of fear is not going to help you think logistically about the next step. And so it's really important to be able to get yourself into that space of neutral so that if or when there comes a time where you need to think about logistically getting more food in the pantry, being able to get mobilized, anything like that, there's no fear attached to it. It's literally you will be shutting the fear down, getting to that logical thinking space so that none of the excess energy will be spent on fear. It'll all be on in the moment, what it is that you need to be doing, how can you get the resources that you need, and really being able to implement these things in a step-by-step basis. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So practice that. I'd love to kind of hear how you're doing tomorrow after practicing that, or even just having that shift in thinking for the day. And I'm really grateful that you brought it up because this is a big aspect of what is going on in a lot of mindsets right now. And so I really appreciate your honesty in bringing that up because that's a huge topic going around. So thank you. All right, let me see. So Amy is on the line. Let me see where she is. Hello, Amy.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You partying back there?
Oh yeah.
Let me see. I'm gonna ask you. Do you have a video?
I can try. It's going a little sketchy when I put my video on.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just do audio then.
All right.
So, do you have anything you'd like to share? Do you have any insight or things that you would like to share?
Man, it's definitely been interesting traveling right now and getting to see what's happening in all parts of the West Coast. And it's, in some places you see people that are very afraid. We see lots of gloves and masks. And in other places you see people that are just whimsical and don't really seem to know what's going on. And they're just talking about how all the stuff on the shelves is gone. Calling my family and talking to some of them and, kind of having this realization that while they're stuck in a spot, we're stuck not knowing where to go.
Right.
And if this gets any worse, it's just weird to think of what's going to happen to everyone, and how is this really going to play out, and what are the big guys really doing behind the curtain?
Right.
All of the chaos is happening.
Right. So, yeah. And I really, during this time, I really want us to make this space, being able to go into those thoughts of like, what's happening, because there's so many puzzle pieces, and the puzzle pieces are all missing, right? I mean, like, we're trying to put together this giant puzzle, but we're missing like 40% of the pieces. So
Yeah.
it's really getting like, it's really almost creating a lot. I'm sure everybody's more tired than they've usually been, because we're trying so hard to logistically think so much and put all these pieces together that we don't have all the pieces. So while there is obviously, our psychology wants to put pieces together, during this time, I really want us to be able to stay hyper present.
Yeah.
Because just like I did with the tapping with Missy, going into this hyper present moment allows for us to see very clearly that right now in our physical bodies, we're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely been trying to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, like, as we're driving through places and as things are going to start unraveling, if they unravel, right, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, if they're going to be unraveling, or if things are actually going to be happening, or is there anything really happening? You know, there's all these questions. Yeah. Allowing for ourselves to find out where and at what other times in our life has this happened before. So, Amy, can you think of a time in your life where it was very uncertain, you felt really unsafe, anything like that?
Yeah, I think probably the earliest back I can think of that is just being a child. And my mom was old at that point, and she started to meet a guy, and then moved away like 5 hours from all our family. And I just remember feeling very, very uncertain and isolated, especially out where we went, because I went from being in, you know, a big city surrounded by all my family, like both sides, to this little desert town in the middle of nowhere with nobody.
Yeah. And how old were you?
I was 5.
Okay. Yeah, so spending a little bit of time. So are you is Chris driving, or are you driving?
Chris drive. We just
okay. So I'm going to have you close your eyes if you can. I'm going to have you close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to see a green bubble of light. And inside of that green bubble of light, I would like for you to see that 5-year-old little girl. And I want you to hear what she has to share with you. What does she tell you?
He told me that it's very lonely and scary, but focusing on what's in front of her takes her mind off of all the chaos.
Can you Can you share with her what happens? Did you meet friends in this new location that you went to?
Yes.
Can you share with her some of the good things that came from this move?
Yeah.
And let her know that even though what she's feeling right now, feeling really scared and feeling really isolated, actually there was quite a few good things that came of it.
Yeah.
Did you see anything happen when you said that in your body or in that visualization?
Yeah, I saw some of the important friendships and the key parts that pushed, my life to get to where they are. And I know that some of those things hadn't happened, things would be very different.
And that's not in any way making that transition less than, but sometimes when we hyper focus on these emotions, we forget the results that came from them, right?
Yeah.
And so, could you just take a moment and thank your 5-year-old little girl and just give her a big hug and wrap her up and like tuck her in a little bit tighter? Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of feelings and emotions that continue to come up over these next days and weeks to come. And we're going to be using them to really connect on a deeper level with ourselves. And the goal is to actually heal these traumas once and for all, so that when we go out of this circumstance and this situation, we can come out of it with growth and nourishment and rejuvenation and healing, coming out into something really able to share our gifts, share our healing, share what it is, who it is that we are meant to be. So I really appreciate, Amy, you sharing that experience, because I'm sure there are others who are going to be having similar experiences that might have given them a little bit of an aha moment to connect to. So thank you. All right. Let me see real fast. So Amy, I'm going to be muting you. Thank you for sharing. And Diana was saying that she's been doing the auric dancing. I don't know if anybody knows much about auric dancing. I created it. It is a way of clearing our auras and our chakras all through movement and dance. I will put that YouTube video in the Magical Mothering group or the Wholeness Virtual Retreat group so people can dance along to it. That is going to be something that I'm going to be creating a certification program for this year, so that people can actually get certified in it and then hold classes in their communities actually teaching this auric dancing. So, which I'm really excited about. And I feel like that could be something that would be very much needed right now in this moment. So, does anybody else have anything else that they would like to share or feel that they want to express? Diana!
Of course I do. I don't know if I told you or not, but when I was doing the Akashic records, I had forgiven my biological father. Did I tell you about that? When I was laying there? Okay, for everybody else, I was laying there and I didn't know him. So I had my 2-year-old, and the only memory I had was of my mom changing me and him saying, "Turn her over this way," and she said no. And so I had my younger self look at him and say, "Thank you. Thank you for being such an asshole, because I have the best father in the world."
Yeah.
And then I did the meditating with the music, and is there what I wanted to know. Is there a vortex out of her body that the energy goes out of, like one certain spot?
No, you can have vortexes in your aura that are actually pulling and draining energy out of you.
Because when I was doing that meditation, I told you on my leg, it was like icy hot.
Yeah.
And I had to jump up out of bed because it was so painful, like something was pulling out of it.
Yeah.
And so I just figured that's what it was me releasing that.
That could be. So there, I like to be really careful with the word vortexes, because vortexes can wind up in our auras actually depleting and draining our energy. That's usually how money flows out of our life, is through vortexes. So we want to make sure that all vortexes energetically are channeled so that they come through our crown chakra, so they are through spirit, rather than vortexing out of us, draining us of money, love, acceptance, anything like that.
So
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I feel it's more of me just letting go of him.
Yeah. So
and letting go of that negative energy.
So I would more equate that to a muscle memory versus a vortex. So in massage therapy, I often would be massaging clients and they would go, "Is it weird that I just thought of this thing?" And they would have a memory that was attached into a muscle that I had just massaged. And so oftentimes, like, there's people who have been in situations that will get bruisings on their body. Yep, you did. You remember? So that was a muscle memory. Your mom might have tightened on your leg when he said that, and that imprinted into your leg. You know what I mean? Like, she could have not even intentionally done that, but like she might have been so angry that she grabbed a little hard, and that muscle memory actually got captured in that space. So there's things that happen in that way. I would call that much more of a muscle memory release than I would a vortex.
I like that better.
So because it wasn't an energetic release, it was a physical, muscular memory attachment during that healing.
It was very painful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and we want to be mindful, especially as you go into more of the energetic healings, to be aware of what is happening on a physical cellular level and what is happening on an energetic spiritual level.
Yeah, when I open up, I can usually feel, okay, where they're hurting.
Right.
Like I start to hurt where they hurt. And I'll be like, I haven't even touched him yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is your shoulder hurting?
Right.
And they'll be like, how did you know? It's like, because mine's hurting me right now. And the auric dancing has really helped just wash all of that away.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah, and I really had to use it for auric dancing, because I'll be getting ready to have a session with somebody and I'm like, oh gosh. And then they'll get on. I'm like, what's going on with your neck? Stop it. I'm like, okay, well, at least I know how to get rid of it because I can feel it, So those kinds of things. There's some people that, you can use your auric body to just feel sensations so that they're not physically going into your body. But I feel like you're pretty good about moving those energies through.
Yeah, I come to you when I need help.
So, yes. So through this time, though, really creating space for big growth and movements to happen. So some of the big growth and movements that are going to happen are possibly feeling safe in your own body for the first time.
I'm much more confident. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know, Missy, this is going to be a big one for you, feeling safe in your body. Let me see. Diana, I'm going to mute you for just a moment. Let me see. Amy just said in the chat, I've been having a lot of pain in my hips and lower back, right around my root chakra. Yes, safety. I know Diana too, she just went and got her hips adjusted. Definitely you can look up on YouTube some pelvic hip openers. That would be really helpful right now. And again, going into that inner child work. We did a tapping earlier. Do that tapping to go from fear to feeling neutral. This will really help the root chakra in becoming more in alignment rather than feeling so depleted right now, because it's so easy to have a depleted root chakra in this time, because there is so much fear, there is so much uncertainty, there is so much of these feelings of not being safe. So this is something that will take a mindset practice. So I'm hoping that through this video, and then of course elaborating on the lives that we do, and we'll be doing more Zoom videos and things like that, elaborating on these aspects so that we can really come into a place of having a whole plethora of tools to be using, so that when we have something come up, when we have the fear of not feeling safe, of having that fear of our root chakra being really depleted, and we could be actually depleting our root chakras by giving so much during this time. Every Facebook post that we see, everything that's coming in from neighbors and families, every telephone call, we could be actually absorbing all of their fear, filling them up, so that when they get off the call, they're like, oh man, I feel so much better. But in the meantime, we're left with all of their depletion in our root chakra dragging us down. So going outside and just sitting on the earth on a blanket and growing roots out of our root chakra. I think I will go through and do that meditation tomorrow, doing a root chakra meditation. I have a PDF for it that I can put up in. Unmute, sorry, there we go, thanks. A root chakra meditation, I used to do it every night, putting my kids to sleep. I would guide them through this meditation, connecting to the heart of Mother Earth, and then them going up into the astral stars and connecting to the star knowledge, and then having them go to sleep with that. So I will put that PDF out, and I will find that wherever that is, and then I'll lead everybody through that meditation tomorrow in the Facebook Live. So I'm going to end the Zoom for now. I appreciate you guys being on here. Please continue to reach out. Love you. Mwah. Please, 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 you know how to get a hold of me. Magical Mothering Group. I appreciate you guys sharing. If you need to message me and I can post it into the group anonymously, I can do that. If there's something that comes up and if this triggered anything, please reach out and we can walk you through that in another space. If there's something that worked and you need me to elaborate on that, again, I'm really going to be creating this time in this space to give as many tools and resources as possible to help shift and transition this period of time into something of growth and value versus just hunkering down and being isolated. So I really appreciate the community of you guys, and thank you for being here and being willing to share and stay connected, stay reaching out. I'm in the Facebook group all the time, anxiously awaiting anybody's posts. So know that I'm in there, and you don't need to worry about not posting or posting too little or too much. I think we're all excited to connect and be more connected right now. So know that we're all here in this together, and this is a time of really coming out of the disconnection of this time period, of this age, into a time of truly being more honestly and integrated and vulnerably connected. So during this transitional period, things are going to be uncertain for some time, but we can all feel safe through this transition and remember that we can always come back to that neutrality and knowing, are we safe in this moment? And if you're not, get to that space of neutrality so that you can actually think cognitively and not be in fear, that fight, flight, or freeze aspect, because you really want to be into a space of thinking clearly if you are in danger, not out of fear anyway. So thank you, and I will see you all tomorrow on the Facebook Live, and don't hesitate to reach out. Love you, ladies. Bye. Oh, I have to end it up here. All right. Bye.